It's a long story. Hello everybody, my name's Luigmas. I'm here to tell you about my new favorite Isaac item. It's absolutely terrifying. An item that I feel gives you the real Devil Deal experience. And that item is Damocles, or the Sword of Damocles. Here's what it does. It's a one-time use active item that spawns a sword on a string above your head. From then on, any spawns pedestals are doubled. Boss items, treasure rooms, secret rooms, curse rooms, and the like. Any item on the ground gives you another item for free. Here's the catch. If you take no damage, you're absolutely fine. It's a great item for the Lost & Co. But if you do take damage, something happens. At some point, without any warning, without any notice, that sword will fall, instantly killing you, regardless of your health. You can't run, you can't hide. The only way to stop it is some sort of extra life or invulnerability. Big risk, big reward. So if you're an idiot like myself, you might pick up the item when you have, I don't know, Ipecac on a forced melee-based character, like Tainted Samson. Yeah. Of course you get hit the floor right after you take it, sending you into a blind Ipecac panic, where you're just trying to find something to help you, anything to help you out of the situation you just put yourself in. And since you're speeding around like a lunatic, you find a planetarium, you bust in praising your luck, and before thinking, you pick up the item right away without doing your research, and it's Saturnus, causing a ring of explosive tears all around you. A big liability. Let's get back to that run in a minute. Let's talk about the historical origins of the item. The story, how I understand it, is Damocles was either a friend or a servant to King Dionysus, and he would often praise the king's good fortune, much to his disliking. So here's roughly what happened. Hey there, King Putty Old Pal. You must really enjoy your position. All the servants, the food, the power. You know what? Why don't we trade places for an evening? What do you think about that? Why, I think that's a great idea. I'm so grateful. I'm glad you think so. Servant, come in here, come in here. We must prepare a feast for this gentleman. Get him the finest silk to wear. And one more thing. Give me a sword and a single strand of horse's hair so we can hover the sword over him. What? Obviously, he couldn't possibly be comfortable with the sword hanging over his head all evening, with the chance of death right next to him at all times. And that's the message of the story. You can't be happy in a position of power that endangers your life like that. Now back to the item. What exactly is the chance of the sword dropping? Does getting hit more make it more likely it'll drop? In the first mod, the answer to that question is yes. Getting hit more would make it more likely, but in Repentance it seems that only the first hit matters, and that starts your mysterious death countdown. And since there's no penalty for extra damage, it seems the correct strategy is to haul ass and find a solution to the hole you just dug yourself into. What are the odds exactly? This website where I pull up all items, it seems that it rolls a 1 in 10,000 chance every 4 frames, which is roughly a 4% chance per minute. And that feeling of dread and desperation to me is reminiscent of your classic Devil Deal story. And something changes or a realization hits, and then you try everything possible to get yourself out of the situation you just got yourself into. And at one point, you're past a threshold where you don't have outs anymore. And hope is lost. And what's the response to that? Well, in Isaac, you continue to try to find outs even though it's hopeless. And once that delusion finally clears up, you haul ass to whatever boss you're trying to axe because that sword is coming down on you. This happened to me on a Tainted Blue Baby run versus the Beast. The sword was cooking for 20 minutes, and it took me 8 to actually get to and finish off the boss. Even though it was pointless to pay attention to the sword at all during that time, what was I looking at almost the entire fight? The damn sword, man. Despite the inevitability of death, it's what I kept looking at the whole time. Although, poor metaphor for real life, because I did end up winning that run, but I'm sure you can pull your own message out of that. Now, I did Theorycraft a possibility that would be the most tense and terrifying, and it actually happened to me on the Tainted Samson run. Let's say you've triggered the mystery countdown, but you have some sort of active item that allows you to stop the effects, like a Book of Shadows or a Unicorn Horn. I had Unicorn Horn. And since it's an active item, you will have to react to the very short time that string breaks and the sword is on its way down. It would make sense, as a strategy, to wait outside the boss room and stare at the sword so that your full focus could go on that boss fight. And this little staring contest is the most intense thing that I think can exist in this game. There's nothing like it. Now, in this situation, I did have Guppy's Collar, which is a 50% chance to just revive like nothing happened, but that sword has a 100% chance of coming down eventually. I'm not taking any chances. So I waited and waited and waited, thumb on the spacebar, eyes glazed over, staring at that sword in the sky, waiting for something, anything to happen. It never came down, and at one point I said, you know what? I can't take this. I'm gonna go fight Hush. And I'm just gonna stare at the sword still, kind of, and use the spacebar if I see it come down on me. I only lasted about 8 minutes in the staring contest overall, before I gave up, by the way. And I beat the Hush fight. It never came down, so I decided, alright, well, let's just head down to the Void where I was headed anyway, see what we can get done. And after clearing out nearly all of the Void, I found Delirium. I lost the fight. And of course, for maximum dread, Guppy's Collar revives me. And at this point, I was at a crossroads. In my mind, I had two options. I could either go balls to the wall in the boss fight and try really, really hard not to ever look at that sword that was above me. Or I could AFK outside the boss room and let the sword eventually fall, take my life, and pray that Guppy's Collar works. There was no third option. I couldn't stomach another staring contest, not now. I'm glad I chose what I did. I decided I was just going to go in, I was going to get this fight done. And I still stared at the sword most of the time, just because I had an out. I wonder if I would have been better off using the unicorn horn somewhere useless, so I was hopeless and just didn't have a reason to look. I just barely won the fight, and I even used unicorn horn during the death animation, just in case it tried to do the most garbage strategy on me ever. But it didn't fall. And because we had that little check mark secured in my name, I thought, you know what? I'm going to wait in this room, and I'm going to see just how long it takes for that sword to finally fall. I sat back, I stared at it, I watched videos on my phone, I took a bathroom break, came back, still hadn't fallen. Turns out, about at the hour mark of where the sword was cooking, it finally fell down. I don't even want to begin to calculate the odds of surviving that long. One thing is certain. This item will absolutely bring tension to your run that you've never seen before. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day.